Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of our Tactics series. So, today we're focusing on Gary O'Neill, the current Wolves manager, and the man that's pretty much doing a really great job. Something I don't think many of us expected to happen after the beginning of this season. At the beginning of the season, especially after he was let go by Bournemouth, which surprised many. I was not as surprised, especially like new ownership and stuff. It tends to happen, but I was really surprised that he was like after how well he did. I thought they'd give him more time, but again, and it's one of those things that you kind of surprised and I kind of not surprised as well. I think they made a great appointment in Iriola. We can see how well he's doing there too. So looks like both clubs came out for the better, which is always nice to see. You always want to see something like that. But yeah, we're going to focus on what Gary O'Neill's done, which I think is really impressive. I quite like his shape that shifts like it does from the 3 to the 4. I like a lot of the ideas he has, the freedom of movement for the counters and things, and it really has worked out well, and you'll see some of the results and stuff like that. But yeah, I love what he's done. Take a look at the tactic now, this is what it looks like. So this is the tactic we have currently up. This is what the design of it is. The only question is the deep lying playmaking role. That's one I've had some slight issues with, but for me, this is the best in terms of what I wanted to get the shape that adjusted, which we'll talk about shortly. But to get that shape that where the 3 goes, where the back 3 changes, and then you have the wing back push higher and help create the role there, it works a lot better. The only thing I would say you could possibly change is that this could be a complete wingback on attack, as I do feel some games Nori plays more of like a complete wingback on attack than a normal wingback. But it's one of the slight changes I would make. I think when Bueno comes on, it's slightly different. There's just some things here and there that you could kind of adjust, but they're going to be more player dependent. But we'll talk about that later on. But yeah, let's get into things. Let's get this tactic session going, and we'll get into the analysis of how Gary O'Neill likes to play. Alright everyone, it's time to talk the tactical analysis portion as we normally do here. So we're back in the data hub to get everything nice and sorted. So, pretty much after last season, Wolves looked almost dead and buried as a team. They were super thin in terms of depth already, and they had a lot of players who wanted to leave and players that had to leave. I think there were some money issues too, but they had players that left due to Saudi clubs and stuff like that, as well as some few players to Man City, 1 or 2 players to Man City. But they lost some players, and it was really going to be tough for them to replace them all, and it didn't look like they were going to be able to. And O'Neill ended up being hired after leaving Bournemouth, which was some surprising, some not, and took over the team. And he had a super thin squad to start the year, and a lot of people, like myself, predicted Wolves to be in the relegation zone, be a relegation fight, thought their super thin squad and a lot of things would create a lot of issues. But what we've actually seen instead is a team that looks incredible. They are really great. And they're sitting in 9th place, playing really well. O'Neill's achieved this through a few key ideas. One of the first ones is being very proactive with the ball. He wants his team to look to get it forwards, but not forcing it forwards. He always wants the team to look to get the ball forwards and create attacking opportunities to score goals, but he doesn't ask them to force it. He's okay with them getting the ball and moving it around the defensive line or into the middle here before getting it wide into areas where they can use the width to their advantage or their great dribbling players up top. Next is that he wants his team to be strong defensively and very compact. So you'll see when the Wolves defend, they'll tuck in a lot. These guys will come narrow. These guys will tuck in here. You can see these guys defend. They might shift over like this almost, and you'll see them defend in the 5-3-2 at times. You might see them drop both these players in like this and defend in a 5-4-1. You'll see them be super compact at times. Or maybe they'll defend even narrower, kind of really narrow like this, almost like a Christmas tree at times. This player stepping up, these guys tucking in a little more. You'll see them adjust their shapes based off their opponent, but they can be super narrow at times and like this, just force and compact, really making no space in the lines and having given a lot outside at times to really make it much harder to play through them, but also give them a platform because they'll drop deeper. There's now all this space over here to attack into. And finally, he wants to utilize the pace and dribbling ability of a lot of his key players to dominate through counterattacks. And that's these front 3 here. These guys, they're the key attackers when it comes to this stuff. Now, we'll talk about Nori and Semedo as well, who are quite crucial to the system in terms of what they offer going forwards. But those are the main roles that make a big difference when it comes to the way the team plays, especially looking to get these counterattacks going. So, one of the big ways that they look to do this is through two kind of main formational roles. So the team mainly sets up in their very classic shape, which I showed you here. The 3-4-2-1 or 3-4-3 at times is what it can look like. It'll depend, but normally these guys will sit narrower or sit wider. It can adjust here and there, but normally it's a 3-4-3 or 2-1. In essence, it's always a 3-4-3. It's just these guys sometimes are further away or more centrally. You'll see it varies game to game, but it's generally just like that. If they're looking to exploit a team in the wide spaces, these guys will usually play wider in games, and then if they want to exploit through the middle, they'll play more narrow. So that's just going to be slight adjustments that occurs from game to game. Then in possession, the team looks like a 4-4-2 more so, or at times a little different, which I'll show you now. So one of the big things is the striker tends to push the line forwards. These guys tend to be quite crucial in possession, drifting wide, but also the wingback pushes forward. So Aiton Nori almost becomes a left mid, or left winger at times. And you'll see the team set up looking like this a lot. This player here a little further, higher up. Sorry, this guy kind of sits here. He kind of sits a little like this, like that usually. And you have this shape, which you pretty much get a 4-4-2 out of it, right? So, I mean, Nori's probably a little deeper. But you kind of get this. So you get your 4, and your 2. It's staggered. It's not perfect, but you get this 4-4-2 kind of shape out of it. And this allows the team to utilize these white spaces. And now what you'll have happen is you've inverted or outverted runs from these players here, which create stuff. So you'll see runs being made like this and like this by these two players, or let's remove those, or like this and like this. So you'll see that happen, and on this side it's the same thing. He might go wide here, he'll go in like this, or the reverse of that. He'll go like this, he'll go like this. Makes sense? It's simple in that sense, but it allows for these things to happen. And also there's a good amount of rotation between these front three players here. They all shift around. He'll go like this, he'll drop in, he'll pop up there. They'll move around each other. They will rotate at times based off where they're dribbling and where they're going in the attack, which can create quite difficult scenarios for teams to deal with. It doesn't make it easy. So it allows for a lot of fluidity out wide, which is in these wide areas, which is really, really crucial to the way Wolves will like to attack, because they will look to move this ball around the back line like so, like this, before getting it to the wide areas where one of these players is going to take it and dribble down the line. He's going to take it here, dribble forwards. He's going to get it here, dribble a little bit, and then look to spray a pass out wide probably. And they'll do that a lot, normally using the wide areas here to get a little highlight going. Normally using these areas out here to get the ball forwards before moving it back into these areas right here. And that's generally what you'll see from this team. First, they go to this area. Let's just change this color for you guys. So first, they usually go in the blue areas. So normally what will happen is it'll go here. This is kind of what Wolves tend to do. Now, it's not, they will go through the middle, but, oops. You'll in essence see this. So these guys will usually be up here. These guys will be in the middle as the links. And then you'll have usually these guys kind of like so. Almost, you'll have it kind of like this. And you'll have these players in these tables. So you'll see this a lot, is that the players will be in these scenarios. The ball will move around this back, go to one of these guys, he'll drive forwards, and then get it inside to one of these three. Or he'll get it here, do the same. Or maybe this player will drift out wide here. He'll then make an inverted run. He'll get it back to the 3, who gets the ball and drives towards goal. And you'll see this happen a lot, right? You'll see those things occur quite often. And they lead to a lot of really good attacks. There's no real set way Wolves look to attack. It is very fluid. It is a lot of, hey, there's an opening, let's try to get forwards. And that's mainly what the team boils down to, is there's a lot of these guys getting forwards and dribbling, but finding the things. Most of the time, the striker tends to operate in this kind of field here. He tends to be quite central, looking to get on things, because say this player will get it and dribble inside here. He's going to look to gut it across to this guy who then runs it and scores. And you'll see that a lot too. When these guys get it, and if they drive inside, they'll look to get the ball across for the player to score a goal and be able to knock in with an easy tap in. And it's quite promising. So that's kind of just what the attacking phase is. It's nothing too crazy, nothing too advanced, but it's just kind of more simple stuff like that, where they look to be quite expansive in the back, get it through the midfield using these 5 players here, for some reason that was weird, using these 5 players here, and then getting it to the wide areas where they can then exploit stuff through dribbles. And that's kind of the main thing you'll see with this team, usually when that happens. So, when it comes to now defending from the front, which is quite important to Wolves, they do kind of one of two things. They will sometimes sit off a little more and not do as much, but usually you'll see the team press with these players here, right? These guys will be more compact together, kind of around this area of the pitch. These guys will be a little higher up, and these guys will be out wide. Don't need the green circle. We'll go back to this. So this is mainly you'll see. These guys here will look to press the opposition. They'll look to force the ball into areas of pressure where then it can be hit long like so. So if we just grab an opposing side, it's up in a 4-2-3-1. Obviously very, very common. So like this. Normally you'll see these guys will be on these guys, right? So they'll be covering here, like kind of in between, waiting to see who they're going to step to. Because these guys can step, and these guys can step, and these guys can do, and he can step higher as well. So, in essence, they're hoping the goalkeeper will come into possession. So the goalkeeper comes into possession. If they play it here, they'll press like this, trying to force it wide. These players coming here, this guy watching the ball back across. They're going to try to force it here. He'll then keep moving, or he will go, and then he will go, and then he'll kind of cover here, and he'll cut off this pass, and then he'll be waiting here, he'll be waiting here. He'll kind of sit like this, and they'll tuck across like this. And they'll get this guy to try to hit this long ball into this space here, where he can intercept it, and then they can attack from a higher position. And that's one of the big things they look to do. They're going to look to force it into those, not the wide areas, but the channels. The big thing you'll see them try to do is force the ball into these areas right here for the defense, because they don't want them to get wide so they can get down the line, but they want to see them have the ball in these defensive areas and hit diagonals into this zone here. That's what you'll usually see. The diagonal ball into this zone where they have bodies here from the defense that can win it and then play through them quickly. And you'll usually see them press wide to that and then force that ball over the top. And then also, because if it goes too far, Jose Sa is there to clean up really easily. And that's what you'll see them try to do. It's a very congested style of it. Now, they'll also look to sit deeper. They're very, very happy to sit off and absorb a lot of pressure too. And this can be seen in that kind of 5 shape that I talked about. Let's get everyone back. So you'll see this when they defend deep. So say these guys have a lot of bodies forwards, they'll try to attack. They're going to overly congest the middle of the pitch here. And you'll see them do it a lot. Because the way the team already usually sets up is quite kind of a narrow shape, they will look to heavily congest this middle. And they will say, hey, you got to go wide here and cross the ball. They'll kind of set up along the lines like this, or it'll change and these guys will slide over a little more, and they'll have kind of like a lopsided pressing structure. It adjusts. This is, again, the other thing to know with Gary O'Neill. He changes everything for each game. The build-out structures, the pressing, everything is adjusted to each team. Not one game is the same system, so everything slightly changes. It's not vast things like we're going to go from a 3 to a 4 to a 5 to a 2 to like no. It's all very much. Each game has its own challenges, and how do we overcome them with what we have available to us? And so because of that, he changes things a lot. And so you'll see the team many times kind of defending like this, looking to force this guy wide here, or he can play into this congested area in the middle where someone can win it, and then they can dribble out into these spaces here where they're going to have opportunities to go, because they've sat deep and pulled the opposite out to them, there's all this space out here or out here where they can attack into with dribbles. And that's usually what you'll see from them. So that's about it. Just a pretty quick one in terms of that. Just, again, they adjust a lot, so you're trying to keep the general principles of what they do is what we're talking about here. The specific stuff is a little different. Build-outs are kind of wonky as it changes each game and stuff. There's a great clip on Sky Sports, I believe, of Gary O'Neill talking about what he did against Bournemouth in their build-out, and it was really key to see how they broke the press and stuff. So watch that. It's a really cool video. But yeah, that's generally what the thing is that they change it too much for me to really say, hey, they're always going to do this. But I will say that they do like to build from the back. They will look to go short most of the time, and that's mostly to pull that opposition onto them and to create those micro transitions, which they want to do, where there's tons of space in behind because the opposition is so high up on them. So let's take a look at the tactic now, see how it did in FM, and we'll talk through the rules and instructions so you guys can get that downloaded and going. All right, everyone, so here is our tactic, now how it's done. So it finished 8th in the league, 58 points, so 17, 7, and 14. Pretty similar to kind of real life in terms of the results of what they have done in real life. I can pull that up here. Sorry, guys, it's on the wrong screen. The Premier League, if I just scroll up to the table, we can see Wolves right now 12, 5, and 11. So pretty similar in terms of those losses and those draw. It seems to be pretty much so kind of like the bigger ones there and then the one in the middle. So pretty similar in terms of the results that we get. We can also see that the kind of the guys that are the key goal scorers for the team are pretty similar. If we look at the team itself, we can see the goal scorers are Chan, then Cunha, and then it kind of drops off to Lima and the others. And if we do look here, sorry. Just look at just goal attempts. We can see that Chan, Neto, and Cunha, but I think Chan didn't play. He played striker. Cunha played as the 10 more, so you had more from Cunha, but that's all right. That's kind of what I kind of expect to see and stuff like that. But annoyingly, Chan didn't shoot as much. But it's kind of it's one of those things that can happen. But it's whatever. Cunha still's getting a lot of goals and stuff like that, so. Not as crazy to see, because I mean, when he got how many assists? 5 assists. So Cunha was the real star, playing in that 10 role. I believe playing as the attacking mid. If we look, no, he's the advanced playmaker. Sorry. Normally that's supposed to be a different role, but whatever. It's simulated, so I didn't control all of it. But yeah, so that's kind of just how the team did in terms of results and things like that. As we can see here, they did really well. They beat Chelsea 1-0. They managed to beat Arsenal 3-0, beat Newcastle. So you can see kind of mixed results. Like, they're beating some of the bigger guys, lost to Sheffield United, but then beat Luton and Burnley, drew with Chelsea, obviously lost to Arsenal, those guys there. I mean, they beat Liverpool 2-1 here, lost to Tottenham, then drew United. So there's definitely that attitude, idea of like, you can kind of get hurt sometimes, but you can also do really well some other games. So it's one of those things where it definitely suits that style of like what we're looking to do, the more counter-focused thing, looking to kind of absorb the pressure and then counter off of it. Definitely has led to a few kind of results here and there. But overall, I think it worked quite well in what we were looking for. So we also kind of look here, we can compare some of the stats and things like that you can see. So in terms of the front three, you can see these guys are the main front 4 players. So you have Neto, you have Chan, you have Sarabia. I always forget how you say it. And then you have Cunha as well. So as you can see, I tried to train them in the right position so that they would play those roles, but unfortunately they just didn't, because I'm guessing Cunha played there. So Sarabia, if we look, played as the attacking midfielder. So they kind of did the opposite of what I was hoping, but it's okay. But if we do look, we can see, obviously, Sarabia has gotten a lot of assists. So it kind of worked the reverse of what I was going for the 2 roles, but I'll take it, because that's what we were going for. But yeah, that's kind of what we wanted to see in terms of that. But you can just see, if we go down to, sorry, while I scroll down to the right area. Again, lots and lots of stats. Sorry, this is what happens when you have loads and loads of things queued up. Where is it? Here, shots. So we do look at shots. Cunha is the one that takes the most shots. Then under that, it's Lamina, who I think he was injured in this. Yeah, he did get injured. I remember seeing he got injured in this save at one point when I checked in. So that's gonna hurt his chances and stuff. But normally you'd see a center mid in there, which is, here's our center mid. So John Ricard Bellegarde, again, he didn't play all these games, but you can kind of see what I mean. They did get some shots off, but it's mainly these front 3, and in real life you have Cunha, Lamina, Chan, Neto, Sarabia. Similar things there in terms of all this stuff like that, just different amounts of game time and things. So pretty similar in terms of who's shooting and who's getting those shots off in terms of what we want. Once it gets to these guys here, it drops off a bit, which is what it kind of does a little bit, but it drops off more kind of around from these two, which is fine. not kind of what we're looking for. Cunha takes the most shots, which is exactly what happens in real life. So that's what we're looking for there. Well, that's fine. If we look at shots on target, it's pretty similar, though. Once you get to Gomez, it's kind of off target. Obviously, the center backs get a few in from shots, but the main guys getting these goal shots off is kind of what we want to see. It's really key to this system. If we go on to passing and stuff like that as well, we can see some stuff when it comes to... I should just realized, am I covering some of the stats? I'm not covering all of them, so we're fine in that sake. But if we go to general play... When you look at passes attempted, real life, Kilman, Semedo, Gomez, Dawson are the top three. Kilman, Dawson, Gomez, Totti. Come on now, guys. Come on. And then Jose Sa and Nori are after that. So, I mean, it's like on the money with who's in possession the most and who's attempting the most passes. So it is perfect in terms of where we're getting possession running through. It's on the money completed. It's so much similar, super similar to this. We are on the money with who is in possession the most in this team. It's brilliant. Like, I'm so happy with it that we've got this so perfect in terms of this. Like, I was so keen, and it's right done perfectly. You'll love to see it. So it's on the money in terms of that stuff, which is great. We've really loved to see it. So I could not be happier with all of that stuff. When it comes to crosses and things as well, if we look, it's Neto Sarabia with the most. Crosses attempted. So Sarabia, Nori are the two up here. Again, they're really high. Then Semedo and Bueno and Doherty. So again, it's the same guys we're expecting. For this, it's Neto and Sarabia. I think Neto just didn't do as much when he played. He was the striker for most of it, so that's fine. Sarabia played on the wing, which is what we're expecting. And then you had Cunha as well. But mainly, if you look at the biggest crossers, it's the guy that played in that right 10 role, and that's what we have compared to this. 115 for Neto in that right 10 role, 312 for Sarabia in the right in that role. And then you had Nori and Semedo, the other two fullbacks, which is exactly what you have here. And then you have the other guys that played fullback, and then after that you get to the center mids, which is what you see too. So pretty much on the money in terms of what we're looking for, in terms of who's crossing and getting those opportunities to create from that too. And then finally, we'll look at some disciplines. We can just look at some defensive actions as well to see who's making the most tackles. So we look at tackles attempted. Unfortunately, I couldn't get this to work the perfect way. In real life, the two center mids make the most tackles, and then it's the fullbacks. And then after that, it's Cunha and a few of the attacking players. So it's not perfect, but it's similar enough where I've got it to be close. When you get to tackles one, it fixes it slightly, but it's still a little bit... I couldn't get 100% the right defensive actions in the right zones, but it's still close to what we wanted, and that's the important thing. So it's similar enough. I wouldn't say it's perfect, but it's close enough to what we're actually looking for, where I'm quite happy with what I've seen. So I'll take that, and I'm happy with those things. But that's, in essence, showing you the stats of what we got, which is great, exactly what we were looking for, and really happy with that. And then one of the things I also wanted to show was the passing networks, as you guys can see here, in terms of what we're looking for. So Semedo offering the width, same with Nori, the guys in the middle there, and then the two other center mids is kind of what we want to see. Now the thing I want to go to, no, it's stats. Where am I going? Analytical data. Teams. So I just want to show you the, average positions with the ball. Just here. So you can see this is, obviously these are with the subs, but what I'm talking about here, so Bueno pushes higher, Doherty's pushed a lot higher there if we go just the 45 minutes. But with the ball, you have these guys all forwards here. So you have the 3, you have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have that at times, which is you're kind of looking for. You also want him to help out a little more defensively and be a little deeper, but I just found that all the fullbacks have get further forward on, so they just get further forward on normally, which is a little annoying, but it works, because then without the ball, you also see that with the ball, without the ball. So that's without the ball, a lot more compact, tucked in, which is really, really important to the way the team plays. This guy drops in a lot more, which is good, because you get the 3, the 4, and then the 2. And then with the ball, it's a lot more expansive, a lot more open, which is really key to this. And our position overall kind of more compact. But that's kind of what we're looking to see as well. See if this game has it a little better. Jeez, they got really killed in this one. Well, it doesn't help they got all the injuries. So let's do this because it just helps not deal with it as much. So with the ball, again, you can kind of see similar, but you can see the back four at times there a lot more. This time at the left side, but you can see that back four get created, which is key to have. And then without the ball, very defensive in terms of that stuff. But still, the thing is we want to see that kind of four, and you can see here the four, you can see that four, and you can see the two. So you can kind of see the shape that's created from it, which we're looking to create. Not 100% perfect, but it's similar to what we want to see from it. And yeah, so that's kind of that in terms of that stuff. I think we'll chat about the tactic and instructions now. Just get that done, and then you guys can get the download links and all that stuff like that. So, just remember, guys, if you are keen to actually get this tactic and other things like that, there'll be a download link below. You guys can find out all information you need for that and all the stuff on Steam and in Mediafire as well, if you guys are keen to have any of that stuff together and want to get those things. But we'll start out in goal. The first thing here, we have a Superkeeper on support. No additional instruction there. This is to ensure that Sa is helpful in possession and helps create some counterattacks. We have a ball-playing defender on cover. This is take more risks. Again, just the normal role. We want them playing that cover role, which you do see them play. We also want them passing the ball around. Then on the right, we have a ball-playing defender on defend. No additional instructions. On the left, we have a wide center back on support. Now, again, I found you could at times go to attack if you wanted to get more aggressive and stuff like that, but I think support worked best for him. On the right, you have a wingback on support with no additional instructions. The only thing I would say is you can put cross more often on if you want, but I felt that they crossed a lot already on their own, so there was no need to. But yeah, the other thing with this, you can also go to automatic if you want to take off get further forward, just to make them a little more docile for the thing itself. But I found, in terms of the get further forward, helped make those overlapping runs that are needed as well, which we talked about earlier, because those are really important for the team in terms of who gets these crosses off. So that's just one thing to be wary of, that it helps with that. When I had automatic on, I felt he sat a little too deep at times and wasn't as useful. So just something to be wary of and be cognizant of. DM on defend, so defensive midfielder on defend at the right DM spot, on tackle harder. This is to make them a really aggressive ball-winning midfielder, but they also do like to get on the ball, both center mids, and they're happy to move the ball around, so which is why he's on a DM, so he's going to support more, because if you read it here, breaking the... So, defensive midfielder's main duty is protect the defensive line from breaking attackers by closing them down quickly to support the creative midfielders when in possession. A key job is to keep hold of the ball while the defense and attack recognize themselves after a period of opposing pressure, and then obviously we'll hold this position between the midfield and defensive lines to help recycle possession, which is exactly what we want him to do. So the deep lying playmaker on support on the left, just the normal roles here. You can change this to a volante if you do want to be more aggressive and more attacking in the game. I would make that suggestion as a great change, but normally keep on deep lying playmaker on support. Found that's helped the best to facilitate the ball, and he does come forward and into these areas here, which is where you want to see him. Finally, the wingback on attack, get further forward and cross the byline. It's perfect. You can also have take more risks on him, as Nori does tend to get further forward and try to be a little more creative at times. And this is also where I say you could also go complete wingback on attack and do this, where I would suggest as well, because you'll see Nori pop up in positions here at times as well, making these kind of runs through the out wide or through the middle, interchanging with this player. One goes in, one goes outside, so that happens a lot as well. So I suggest you could also do that if you want, but mainly Nori does like to go down the outside here, which is why I have wingback on attack, because I mainly want him keeping that outside channel hugged over him always running inside, and I felt when on complete wingback on support, a little too often he would be found in some other positions, and I didn't like the way it worked as much. But something you can do. Just if you, it's again feeling up to you. If you kind of feel you want a little more freedom in that player, do suggest it. But I felt with Nori it worked best as the wingback on attack. The left attacking mid is attacking midfielder on attack with dribble more and stay wider. Now, remember earlier we talked about the really keyness of the dribbles. These players up the front three dribble the ball constantly. They're really, really big dribblers, especially these two. They're big and progressive carries, so you got to be sure to have dribble more on them and stay wider so they give those width where it's needed. And that's why when we have this width, these players can make those inverted runs, which I talked about as well. But so he's got dribble more and stay wider and get further forward as attacking midfielder on attack. Right attacking mid is advanced playmaker on support with dribble more and stay wider. Now, obviously, his role is to sit a little deeper and help out facilitate possession, where these guys can go both forward and create that 4-4-2. On the shadow striker role, you could use, but my issue with that was I felt too often you would have this happen, Like, your team would look like this. And it was really disconnected. Like, it didn't look good. It was just super disconnected from the strikers. So that's why I had it that way. Instead, so that's why I kind of had it doing that. But I think it's good to have him on an advanced attacking player. But again, advanced playmaker, support, dribble more, stay wider on the right side. Finally, in the middle, you advance forward on tackle harder. This is to get that aggressiveness that we saw. You could also do a pressing forward, but I didn't think that pressing forward didn't work as well. He didn't stretch the lines as much as I was hoping and move into the channels. He turned into a bit more of a hold-up player, which I didn't like. So I felt this worked a lot better with the advance forward on. Finally, when you get into the tactical instructions, mentality is on balanced. In possession, the attacking width is fairly narrow. This is because we want to make sure that the team sits in a much more narrow shape, but then when they get the ball, they expand. And as you saw, defensively they were a lot more narrow, but then when they started to attack, they'd expand wider, as you saw with the possession, the in and out of possession positions. Pass into space, because we do want the team to get forward and play those through balls. Play out of defense, as the team looks to play out of defense and pull the opposition onto them for those micro transition moments where you can pull them onto us, create more space in behind. Standard directness, a slightly higher tempo as the team does look to move it quicker, but they're not always too concerned about rushing it forwards, and then run at defense as they do love to dribble. Finally, in transition, they counter and counter press and distribute to the center backs. And finally, out of possession, higher press line of engagement, higher defensive line, more often. Don't prevent short goalkeeper distribution because they won't always do this. So they will be happy to allow that first pass a lot of the times, and then they'll trigger the press, which is what I've tried to go for with this. As when I did this, it didn't work as well. It worked a lot better with this and this setup. I had this on before, but it didn't work very well. And when I tried this out, it was a little too much pressing. And when I took this off, I had this, it didn't work as well. But this I felt was the best for it. Get Stuck In is really good as well. You can do trap outside as they do that, but Wolves won't always. They sometimes will, dependent on their opponent, adjust to push them inside too. So that's going to be more dependent on how you're going to play for your opponent for that sake. But yeah, that is our Gary O'Neill tactic. That is the tactic itself, and a little show the stats, how they match up and all those things like that. Hopefully when my Y-Scout renews, I'll be able to get more clips for you guys, but as of right now, we're still kind of on the edge with that. Unfortunately, I'm having to use Y-Scout for some job interviews and things, so I can't really stress using it at the current moment. So, unfortunate, and I apologize, but I don't make enough money, or don't really make any money, to pay for a high version of Y-Scout. So I'm sorry about that, guys. It does suck, but I don't have the software otherwise to do it, so. Annoying, but yeah, this is what we have for right now, and hopefully you guys are liking the stats and stuff like that. A little more. Do let me know if you want more clips of things too, but I can get some more clips from in-game, but just kind of figuring things out as it's new science of how I do these videos without having those videos and stuff like that, which is unfortunate, but just how it goes. But yeah, that is what our tactic is. It's what it looks like, and I hope you guys are excited for it. Remember, the download links are in the description below. They are for Steam and MediaFire, and if you guys want to get either of those as well as some of the other tactics, you got all my other stuff on the Steam page where you can see all of my amazing tactics and other things like that. So the outro, we'll talk about what comes next and some other things as well to know. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching another tactic video. I hope you guys did really enjoy our Gary O'Neill tactic. If you did, remember to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you miss out on any more of our tactic videos out every single Sunday. So, just to let you guys know, the description has obviously a little analysis of this tactic, and then also the two download links, both MediaFire and Steam, free. As always, we're keeping tactics free. I'm not making you guys pay for tactics, anything like that. That is just a dick move. I don't want you guys to have to pay for them. Does hurt my pockets, but I want to stand on principle, and that's more important to me right now. But what is coming next for you guys? We have Inzaghi's Inter next week, and then we have Union Saint-Gilloise and a manager I do not want to try to pronounce. I think it's Blessin is his name. I don't know. So that's coming up next for you guys in the next weeks. You guys are looking forward to that. And yeah, that's kind of what we have going on. As of right now, we're sticking with the 3 at a time. I do have some stuff in the works in terms of jobs and other things like that could affect things. So depending on what happens in the next few weeks, I'll let you guys know if there's any adjustments to the schedule or changes or things like that. Some job I may have to move or other things. So we'll see. We'll discuss. We'll let you guys know what's happening. But as of right now, those are the next 2 tactics. They're set to come out those days. I'll update you guys on if things change or other stuff like that. But I do also want to say we will do some more international stuff coming in the future for Copa America and the Euros. So look forward to that. And yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed everything so far. Keep the tactic suggestions coming. And I will catch you guys in the next one.